Welcome to Glocal Voices, the official podcast of the Center for Socially Engaged Theatre at the University of Regina.
Well, hello. This is Taiwo Afolabi, Glocal Voices from the Center for Socially Engaged Theatre, and we're live and direct at IDIERI 2025 at the University of British Columbia, Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada. Special shout out to those behind the scene, Gabriel, Walter, Shola, Caleb, and of course Tara at the Center for Socially Engaged Theatre. Really excited about the opportunity to bring, as part of our festival, but also as part of the IDIERI, to really engage with researchers all over the world to hear a snippet of their research. And in this episode, I'm talking to Adam. So I'm going to go quickly to Adam to introduce himself, doing remarkable work in Hungary, and then we'll move on to our conversation. Over to you, Adam. How are you doing today?
Thanks, Taiwo. I'm doing good. I'm at Bethlenfalvy, as you know, and I work in Hungary. And I work in different fields, but what I'd really like to share with the global audience is more related to educational theatre in Hungary. And it's because Hungarian is a unique language, and many of my colleagues don't speak so much English and are not so much present in other parts of the world internationally. So I think it's really important to bring their voices to this global discourse as well. And it's really interesting because we have educational theatre in Hungary for quite a few decades now. Officially starting in the 90s, but actually research now shows that theatre practitioners have been exploring interactive forms with young audiences for a long time.
Prior to that.
Yes, prior to that. So, but now the situation is really interesting. We did a large survey research mapping of the field in Hungary with my colleague Adam Siboy, another Adam. The rest of the people are not called Adam in Hungary.
Okay.
So everyone's called Adam in Hungary, but the two of us definitely are. And what we found was a very thriving field with influences from all over the world. So we have influences from the German-speaking countries, and they have a very different approach to performative arts and engaging with the audiences, and we have also a very strong roots in the Anglo-Saxon theatre in education field, and these combine and sort of it's like a melting pot of educational theatre in Hungary. And we had the privilege of visiting a lot, over 100 programs in the field and talking to a lot of the practitioners out there, but it really kick-started the field in the sense of having a conscious awareness of each other's work. So I think it was a really interesting moment where research really impacted back on the field and people became much more conscious of what they're doing, how they're working. And this research has just recently been continued in 2023. We did another round to see what's changed in the last 10 years.
Interesting. So I'm going to ask you the question around what are the highlights of that research. However, before we go to that question, it's really interesting that this kind of research had not been done before. So why that? Why is it that it's now that is that consciousness to do it? What's the impetus for that? Why that?
Yeah.
And how has that really changed and transformed and shaped educational theatre within the landscape in Hungary?
It's really interesting because we felt working in the field. So I'm basically more a practitioner. I identify more as a practitioner than a researcher. We felt as practitioners that there's something changing, and we hear more and more theatres engaging with their audiences, so breaking the fourth wall, exploring how they can connect. And it's interesting because it was not because there was a change in funding, but actually it happened because I think, and these are only hypotheses, I think it's because theatres were really looking at how they can validate and make themselves socially educationally useful, and this brought this change. So I think it was more a sort of felt understanding of there's something shifting, and the research also found that there was a boom in the field in Hungary in 2009, 2010. Interestingly, it was when the politics moved to a sphere which is much more conservative and pulling back the culture to traditional forms rather than innovative forms. But the theatre field went in an opposite direction. And it's been ongoing. And of course now, as we all know in the world, politics really impacts it, and at the end of the day, or cultural politics really impacts at the end of the day. Now there is a real squeeze on what's happening in the field, and that's what we found in the 10 years later research, that actually, while methodologically everyone's becoming much more conscious and using much more artistic, aesthetic forms in their interaction, at the same time there's a great change in people falling out from this field, new actors coming in, new players coming in, but still it's a very, very thriving field, and very exciting to be part of.
So for you, what were you kind of highlighted some of the key things on the research. For you, what was the aha moment? What was the surprise?
Well, the surprise was actually meeting with all these colleagues and sharing, seeing that we work very differently, with very different methodologies, but there is a shared vision or a mission or wish to understand and to open theatre up for audiences, for young people to use in a good way, to use the aesthetics, to use the content of theatre. And this shared vision is really a shared feeling, this shared wish is such a powerful thing. And it really holds together this field to some extent. And of course, then we fight each other for fundings, and you know, we always try to prove that our methodology is the best, but still at the same time, contradictorily, there is also a shared connection, and a connection. And I think this connection is there when we go around the world. So that's why I think what you're doing is really important. That I think it's really important to know that people have very different ways of using, you know, cultural forms of theatre, forms of interaction, communication, but there's a common wish to connect and to sort of get us thinking about how we should be living and what it means to be human through the theatre form. So I think that's a real important point of connection.
That's amazing. This will be my last question, I promise. I love what you said, because we can all use the same methodology. It's going to be boring. It's going to be boring. But at the end of the day, it's the spice of life, right? It's the spicy, the varieties that makes it a better place. And we're all working towards, hopefully, we're working towards making the world a better place. Here's my final question for you, the $1 million question. What's the future aspiration for you that you have for this research, or maybe even other research that you're part of, or maybe you're seeing in your country that you want to share? What's the future? What's the aspiration?
Well, I think it's, as I said, I'm less interested in what happens with the research. I'm much more interested in what happens with the field.
So what's the aspiration for the field?
Yes. So for the field, I really hope that there is some change, some shift in how people can maybe self-organize and become more sustainable. But it's a real challenge, because all the funding possibilities are being very consciously and deliberately shrunk. So I just hope we will manage to get through the next few years as a field, and people will not, and the knowledge will not vanish, but people will be able to come back and activate themselves, or keep going in a very difficult time. And maybe connections with the other parts of the world will help sustain that.
Well, we're connected already, so it's about that. I love what you're saying, that the partnership, the collaboration, and using the resources that have come out of this research to be able to advance and maximize the field. This is great. Well, we've been talking to Adam from Hungary, and really remarkable conversation about the longitudinal study on the educational theatre scene in the country. And we do hope that this research will continue to advance the practice and the praxis of the field in Hungary. And who knows, one day maybe I'll be there.
Hopefully.
Well, thank you so much. Well, this is Taiwo signing out, and see you in the next episode. Bye.
You have been listening to Glocal Voices, the official podcast of the Center for Socially Engaged Theatre at the University of Regina. For more details about the center, visit www.cset.ca.